My guest today is a Broadway veteran, having performed in 9 Broadway shows, from Hamilton to The Color Purple to his most recent and first Broadway principal role as Ike Turner in Tina, the Tina Turner musical. You've seen him on TV, from Blind Spot to Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It, to The Last OG, to The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He is also an outspoken activist and poet and creator of The Jam. We're going to get into that. It is an honor to have one of the most versatile, inspirational performers I know, my friend, the self-proclaimed love terrorist himself, DanielJWatts. How are you?
I'm great, bro. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. It's an honor to have you here. Um,
Thanks for having me.
you just did The Jam recently on Instagram, and to describe it, it's hard to describe, but basically you've got a couple different chapters of it. It's
Yeah.
something created, whether it's I think you have one called The Only Child,
Huh?
and then you have Love Terrorists, which I saw recently.
Yeah.
And if you haven't experienced it, I can only describe it as it's honestly one of the most honest, relevant, healing pieces of art I've ever experienced. From police brutality to you and your father's relationship, you open yourself up, you use poetry and music, and you challenge us to be more accountable, more vulnerable, and more aware, and more loving. What does
Mm.
it feel like to be inside of a piece of art that is so needed right now?
Oh man. Thank you.
Oh, brother.
Thank you. It's how art goes. It's you hope it's doing the thing that you want it to do. You never really, really know. And it's even harder for I feel like a visual artist right now in a way that I'm used to the live element, and we don't have the live element right now. So like, there's a cheat code, which is like you can feed off the energy in a live setting. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do my show, but I'm gonna give you a little bit because you're giving me a little of that. And there's this thing that is missing right now from what I'm used to doing the jam. So like, it's kind of like this digital thing going out and hoping that it's, I say the jam, like it could be sweet, it might get sticky. And I always hope it's a little bit sticky, like, that you leave a little bit on it. So, but, to know that a lot of this stuff that I've been doing is not new material, like I haven't written anything new. And that it still resonates on one way is slightly depressing. On another side of it is it's also like, all right, well, at least it's tapped into something.
Well, I want to get deeper into that because I heard you say that, like, that you haven't written anything new for this. Like, you've been doing this piece for a little while. So is it, this piece is so inspiring and healing for so many people, but when you perform it at a time like this, does it feel like, oh crap, like I gotta say this again? Or or is it like, or are you thrilled that this is so relevant? I'm sure it's a little of both, but just can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's a little both. I mean, there's this, I was at this I'm trying to figure out how to say it. There was a bookstore that was about to close, and they brought in a bunch of different poets to kind of like do performances to, like, as a fundraiser. And Saul Williams was there, and he did this poem that he had done in Slam, this film, this independent film that he'd done back in year 2000. And this is back in 2016 when we did this. And he was like, I'm gonna do this poem, but I don't want to do it. I want to do it, but I don't want to do it because when I first wrote it, there was a part of me was like, I'm gonna write this poem and everything's gonna change. Like, I'm gonna say this poem and all the things are gonna change. And that's kind of like, that's the mythology behind a lot of, like, especially for poets, like, I'm gonna write this poem. This is the one that's gonna change everybody's mind. They're gonna change everybody's hearts. This is it, and then it doesn't. It doesn't. And it's a combination of something goes down. It's like, oh, I got a poem for that. So you hit it because, hey, I got a poem for that. But there's also the like, oh man, this thing is still, it didn't do the thing that I wanted it to do when I first wrote it. It's both, it's both empowering and you know, a little soul crushing at the same time.
That's rough. That's like, oh yes, I created this thing, but damn. As I've been thinking about the jam, especially Love Terrorists, um, I've been thinking about great pieces of art, man, and I keep thinking about the song "Change Gonna Come"
Mm-hmm.
because whether it was the '60s civil rights then, or '90s Rodney King, 2000, 2020, like that piece of art is always relevant.
Yeah.
And I really think that that your piece, the Love Terrorists, is always relevant. Um, so I want to just talk about like your mindset just a little bit. Uh, so many of us artists, especially since COVID-19 and George Floyd, have felt
Yeah.
this powerless, just like stagnant thing. And now with the news that Broadway is closed till 2021,
Yeah.
especially here in New York, it's rough.
It's
But
rough.
you took the jam, which is typically done on some type of stage, and you turned it into this full virtual experience on Instagram Live in a
Yeah.
home where you are the cinematographer, you're the lighting designer, you're the host, you're the performer. How did you go? How did you grow from this isn't how I usually do my art to come hell or high water, I will find a way to do my art?
Oh wow. You know, so Love Terrorists is I've done Love Terrorists before in a version when Pulse nightclub happened. And we did it as a benefit.
Right.
Some of the same pieces, some different pieces. And so I knew that I had it, but this is when the jam was more of a band-based experience. Form followed function, where all of a sudden the band was gone. Everyone, Ephraim was and Derek were in Ain't Too Proud out in California. Voltaire, the bass player, went out to do Hamilton on tour. Taraka had his third child, so he was in that lane, you know. And all of a sudden, I was by myself. And the guy who played bass in this jam, Michael Thurber, reached out to me one day. Was like, "What are you doing with the jam?" And I was like, "I don't know, nothing." And he was like, "Okay." And then he called me 2 weeks later and was like, "You can't do that." It's the first thing he said. I was like, "Hello?" It's like, "You can't do that." Like, "Hey, I can't do what?" "You can't not do the jam." I was like, "Well, I don't have anything to say." "Yes, you do." "Well, nobody's here. I have to do it by myself."
Mm.
"Okay." And he was just very matter of fact and was just like, "This is your thing. Do it." And that's when I realized, like, oh, I do have something to say. And that's when Only Child was about me going to therapy. I just started therapy and realized that being an only child in a single parent home, and growing up in the South, had created an individual. And I was like unpacking that thing. And I
Mm.
equated going to therapy like inviting a stranger into the attic of your mind, and you're cleaning out the attic and you're kind of embarrassed about that stuff. You
Right.
know, and it's a slow reveal of like the things that you need to keep, you need to give away. So by everyone being gone and me having to do Only Child, which I ended up doing by myself, and DJ Doug's Preston Doug III,
Mhm.
I ended up doing it by myself. So I was like, oh, I can do a jam autonomously. So with that information, once Ahmaud Arbery happened and Breonna Taylor happened, and I felt my silence, and I was like, I mean, I got stuff for this. I've written all this stuff already before. It's still relevant. All right,
So,
you
so, you,
know.
so you took what I love about that is somebody you had the piece, but you had to get inspired, or there was a spark for you to go and then push it. And I want to talk about what's his name, the bass player,
Which Michael Thurber.
Michael Thurber was like, no, you have to do this now. You have to do this now. I'm going to transition quickly to like the people that we surround ourselves with. Like, I think that's so important. Your crew you've been rocking with for the same creative crew
Yeah,
as far as the jam's concerned for a while. And you just mentioned like Ephraim Sykes, Derek Baskin, Taraka Patterson, all phenomenal performers in their own right. But you use them in almost all your shows. And I think it's so important to find what I call growth lifers, people that inspire you, people that are going to support you in your journey or challenge you,
yep.
like Homeboy did, to say, no, 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 no. You need to be doing this now. Can you talk about those guys or people like that in your life and what they've meant to your journey?
Yeah, they've meant everything. I going back to being an only child and bouncing around a lot as a kid, I didn't really have a solid crew. I have my frat brothers from college, but even that was like a 4-year span where I was just with them, and then we still stay in touch, but they haven't been a part of my day to day. Whereas like Derek, Ephraim, Donald Webber, Preston Duggar, Trockapat, we're all Ricky Tripp. It's a crew. It's a group of people that I kept realizing like, oh, you're still here. I'm used to either I'm gone or there, or friend. I'm not used to having a crew of people all the time. I don't have like friends from high school or friends from elementary school. It's like these are my, oh, y'all are still here, and y'all hold me accountable, and you don't mind when I hold you accountable. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
I just feel like that's such an important thing. Like, we're talking about just artistry right now, but as artists, especially, all humans need this. But like, we don't develop those crews. We don't do, that's not something that we're a strategy that they tell us, comes up with art, right? But it feeds you so much. They meet you right when you need them to be there. And as evidence in when this jam started, at least the online version, you need that.
Yeah.
You need that. I'm gonna transition to your, I feel like people are like blowing you up right now for being this poet. P.S. Do you ever take rapper? Do you ever, or is it poet?
I can rap, like David Diggs is a rapper. You know what I mean? Like Diggs is a rapper. I can rap.
You look, because you throw down. You really, you're subtle with it, because you'll be doing this thing where you go from just this heartfelt tone, and then all of a sudden you pick up steam, and then you're in this thing, and you're like, well, no, this dude is flowing for real. Like it anyway. So you're a hybrid anyway. So, but before all that, like, people are knowing you now as that thing, as this poet, rapper, healer, truth teller. But they don't know that you've been lighting up Broadway for such a long time. You've been lighting up ensembles with your talent in 8 Broadway shows before the jam, or maybe during. But people know you. They don't understand. They don't know that much about the fact that you're an incredible dancer. They've seen you. The community knows, and I hope I'm not out of turn by saying that. But like, my question is, did you set an intention to leave the ensemble and to go for the jam or for principal roles? Is that something that you were like, you know what, I got to do this now?
Yeah, they all kind of happened at the same time. I'm gonna try to view the short long, which is I was auditioning for In the Heights for off Broadway. I got cut. I went to check my phone and found out that I had booked The Color Purple. So I go to Color Purple, and then there was this like long process of me trying to get back to In the Heights. Because it was just like, I just had to do it. It's like, I have to do that show. And it was like Color Purple, Little Mermaid, Memphis, left Memphis to do In the Heights. And I felt like the circle was complete. And by the time I got to In the Heights, I was there for 9 months, and then the show closed. And then I found myself going back to Memphis as a vacation swing to like swing a role I originated, which is, it is what it is the work. And I was only there temporarily. And then I went out of town to do Aladdin at Fifth Avenue. And my part got cut while I was there. And they didn't really have anything for me to do. So then it was a lot of like, they called it my apartment. I was like off stage right. Just like, where's Dan? Is he in his apartment? And I was back then, I was just right. And I was like, this can't be life. Cause I felt like I was regressing. Like I felt like I was just going backwards. Like, this can't be life. I can't be waiting on someone to give me something. And then the line from Jelly's Last Jam, we're jamming with Jelly tonight, is something that's always like in my head. And I was like, oh, that's a play on words. Jelly Roll Morton, jam, jelly, jam. What's the difference between jam and jelly? So I looked up the difference, and jam has like the fruit and the seeds and the pulp in it, where jelly is just the gelatin. I was like, oh, if I'm gonna be jelly or jam, I'd rather be jam. And I started, and I was like, oh, I'll get like a band together. We can have like a jam session. Like, these are like all the roots of like how the jam started. And I was kind of like, I did it once. And someone was like, when are you going to do one of your jams again? And I was like, oh, I guess I could keep doing this thing and call it the jam every time I want to share something. I'll just call it the jam. And then I realized through the jam, I got different reps. I started getting, it just, the jam started having people look at me differently because I'm the front man while I was being in the ensemble of all these other things. It gave me an opportunity.
So this was going on while you were working. So you were off stage, you were cultivating this jam. So it wasn't like, I'm done with this, I'm gonna start working on this. I think that's just like a really important thing. You got kids coming out of school right now who are just like, if this Broadway thing doesn't work out, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. But like, I remember talking to you throughout the years we've had, just, for the last, 14 years. And you talked about like, that you can dance, you can perform as a dancer, as a singer, you can do that forever. If you want to, you can always come back to it. But the opportunity to say something that's from your heart, and that is completely you, the time is ticking on that. And so, seeing you step into this is like, as you've been writing, and before people sort of knew you like this, but now you're like coming up into this space as an artist in a completely new way. It's really inspiring. And I have to just say, I'm gonna pause for a second, and I got some of this stuff written down, but like, you're one of those people that has inspired me to just be braver. Just be braver with my art and to be braver, in my activism. And I really appreciate that, man. I really, really appreciate it. Know that people are looking at you, and I hope you don't feel this pressure, but like, you're like you're a James Baldwin Pied Piper leading artists through how to navigate this moment, not just artists, but all of us. And, with your open heart and your vulnerability and your willingness to just be brave and speak the truth. So
thanks, bro. That means that really means a lot. I mean, it's like, to hear that, honestly, it feels like we're just doing this. Cause like, I remember like in the Heights, and then next thing I know, Josh was like, I'm about to go do this gospel. Okay, that ain't gonna work. Okay, I'm about to do this Gospel Boys. Okay, I'm about to do this Violet. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And I remember going to your show at the Triad and being like,
y'all, Triad was literally the first show I ever did outside of this. It was like my first solo concert type deal.
Oh, this man wore me out at the Triad. And I would definitely say that inspired the jam. Absolutely. 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 Because it was just like, oh, don't put a lampshade on it. Don't put a lampshade when there's so much more. Like, just because I don't know, everyone doesn't know everything. So you got to let everybody know. So like, when I get there and you were like, when you got on that guitar, I was furious. I was furious in the best possible way.
I'm glad you were furious. It was, for me, that was a moment of, was like, you know what? I came to New York, Broadway thing was like late for me. So like, I appreciate you saying that. I always wanted to like play music and be an artist.
Yeah.
And so that was an opportunity for me to like step out and shine. But
so that's what I got. That's what I got from that though. I was like, oh, this cat is arting out here. Oh, we're arting out here. Okay.
We're doing full art out here, but I thank you, bro. And we're not just arting out here, but we're being activists out here. And here's what I saw from you. You're arting out here, but you don't, people, I hope people realize that you didn't just start using your voice as an activist like yesterday. Yeah. You've been sparking conversations and you've been speaking out about police brutality from when I first heard at 2014, where you brought Broadway together to deliver your I Can't Breathe piece, literally in front of the NYPD police station in Times Square after Eric Garner was killed. Fast forward to just recently, June of 2020, I saw what you did at the Rally for Freedom, where you showed your support for the LGBTQIA community. Yeah. And in this piece, Daniel, you mentioned not speaking out in a general way, but specifically to the communities and causes that need our attention. And I was like, yes, you were speaking to me. You were speaking to me. But for those of us who don't think they have a stage or a platform, or are just uncomfortable or feel like, I don't want to ruffle feathers, you know, how can we grow from silence to speaking out about injustice?
You know, I understand how hard it is because it's easier to stand up when you know you have people have you when you know people have your back.
Mm.
Oh, and that's definitely something I've always felt that, you know, and even I'll stand on an island by myself because I'm a relatively autonomous person. So I'm used to not having people, but I know that I have people that have my back. So I know if I say something, somebody's going to co-sign.
Mm.
Someone's going to agree. And I ask questions. So I'm like, am I the one who feels this? Do you feel this? Because I feel that feels. Do you feel? Okay, there's at least 3 of us. All right.
Hey man, you get an
Hey, hey, you know, I'll go first. But you know, it's the thing about there's bravery and there's courage, you know, and I think bravery is not necessarily smart. Bravery doesn't necessarily have an idea. Bravery doesn't necessarily have tact. Where courage is something different. Courage comes from within. Courage knows when to lead and when to follow. Courage, you know, so I think it's like trying to tap into the courage, the courageousness of it. You know, I read Baldwin. You know, I'm not really saying anything that no one hasn't already said before. You know, I'm just saying it my way through my experiences and my perspective, you know, so it's like, even that, it's like, oh, I got Baldwin with me. I got Audre Lorde with me. I got Zora and Langston and you know, I got the ancestors with me. If nothing else, you know, Lorraine Hansberry, you know, they've all said these things in various ways before. So it's like, I'm not by myself. Even when I first started saying it, it's like, I'm just co-signing what's already been said before me. I'm way in the back. I'm like, yay, so-and-so said.
Yet, you know, yes, so there's nothing in a certain way, there's nothing new under the sun, but through your experience, you know, your therapy, you being an only child, like that information comes through you in such a unique package. And I think that it's just the voice that we need right now.
Yes.
You know, it really is. It really is.
It's really cool to hear.
Let's talk about Broadway for a second. We're close to 2021, right? We have some problems we got to fix. Systematic racism has led to inequality, even on Broadway, y'all. As loving and as empathetic as a community as that is, there are countless stories of racism from Black artists in the community right now. There's been diversity on stage, but when it comes to representation further up in the company management and producing, artistic directors in New York City, it's mostly white people. Mm-hmm. What would you like for Broadway to work on as we pause and rebuild right now?
I'm going to give Broadway a pass. And what I mean by that is that for the most part, Broadway didn't come knocking on DanielJWatts' door and Josh Henry's door and say, hey, do you want to come do this thing? You know, we came up to say, hey, we like this thing. Can we play ball? And they were like, sure, come play ball. Here are the rules, but come play ball. Mm. And now we're kind of saying, hey, we need you to change your rules. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Broadway has an opportunity to either continue playing the game that they've been playing, and I can't begrudge them for that because, again, they didn't ask me to come play, you know, or be who they say they are, which I actually have faith in them and believe that they do want to. It's just a matter of awareness. And, you know, it goes back to the same thing, having the courage to be, okay, it's not normally done this way, but we'll do it, you know. And it might take a certain producer, it might take a certain theater, it might take a certain, you know, I don't expect much to change today or tomorrow, and that's just because I just understand how time works. But I'm also willing to be happily surprised by, you know, swift progress and change. And I hope those of us who want the change value ourselves enough not to accept anything less than what we want.
Mm.
You know, because that's really what it comes down to. Like, it's like, okay, are we still going to continue playing ball in this field that the rules aren't really stacked for us?
Totally. I mean, I'm racking my brain right now and creatively trying to figure out ways that if I want to continue to be, you know, you've been in 9 Broadway shows. I profess to be in 8, you know, and it's like, it's a community that's really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love it. And what I love about Baldwin that we, you know, talk about sometimes is, I don't want to butcher this statement, but he talks about America and how much he loves it. So he's like, so I have the right to criticize it, you know? And so that's how I feel about Broadway. But yeah, we came knocking on their door, but now that we're here, or I should say now that we're all here, but I'm here now, and I don't want it. I hope that we can move forward, and I trust, like you, that we're going to move forward in a more equitable, you know, equally represented way.
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions for you. Speaking of Broadway, we lost our Broadway brother, Nick Cordero, to COVID-19. And this is just yesterday. He leaves behind an incredible woman, Amanda Klutz, who's just been so inspirational in the way that she's dealt with this adversity right now. And her child, their child, I think is maybe like 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sending them a lot of love right now. But we as a community really need to heal. Our bodies, our emotions, our spirits need to heal. And Daniel, in the jam, one of the last things that you say in this Love Terrorist version is make sure you're taking the time to rest and heal. What does it mean to heal right now when the blows just keep on coming?
Oh man, you know, healing is a hard thing because there's a difference between it not hurting anymore and it being healed. And I think, you know, it's easy to get back on the court when, you know, the ankle's still tender and it's like, nah, it's fine. It's like, is it healed or it just doesn't hurt anymore?
Mm.
And, you know, and like, right, blow after blow after blow. And, you know, especially as artists, what we do is take in and then we put it back out. You know, we can't hold on to what we ingest because it does something to us, you know, and we have to get it out. So it's like finding outlets that don't necessarily have to feel productive, but just cathartic, you know, therapeutic. And even if and sometimes it's literally going outside of the normal medium, you know, like it might be like, I don't paint, but maybe I need to get some paint. You know, it's like, because sometimes you just don't, you know, Adrienne Warren said it so good. Adrienne was like, I don't feel like singing right now. And that's her thing. That's her love. She was like, I just don't feel like singing right now. And she started painting.
All right. Painting now?
She started like, you know, because it's just something about like, it's not so much taking your mind off of it, but it's a work through because we can't sit in it. You can't stay stagnant. You just got to go through it. And you can't force your way through it because time takes time, you know. And it's like we heard about Broadway not being, you know, not coming back until 2020. And then not a week later, we found out about Nick. And there's these things that you have this faith in that it's gonna not be what it is. And you have to, I think that's what faith is also, you know, when it doesn't go your way, still, you know, finding the bright side, acknowledging the dark side, but finding the bright side. And, you know, just being honest about, I'm not good today. I think it's part of the healing process. Being able to say, how you doing today? Someone says, how you doing today? And you go, oh yeah, you know, I'm good. It's like, I'm not good today. And I needed to say that out loud. And, you know, that part,
Yeah.
it feels vulnerable. It feels exposed. And it is, but it's also honest.
We got to be honest with ourselves.
You got to be honest. That's how you heal.
That's how you. I love that. I love what you said also about faith, which kind of leads. I've got 3 more quick ones for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a practice, whether it be, do you have a practice that keeps you grounded in an industry that is forever changing?
Writing is this thing that this love that I have that, you know, it turned into work in a way. You know, I used to write just to express myself, and then it started to turn into it started turning into a job, and then everything's a poem. No, like I'm even this conversation I'm having right now, I'm like, is this a poem? What poem is this? You know, and and sometimes it's just I don't do it the way I used to do it. Like I used to write everything, and sometimes like I just need to write this line down, or I just need to say this line. But as far as like faith in God, like my granny has this thing she taught me to do. She was like, when she first wakes up in the morning, she looks in the mirror and says, "Good morning, you beautiful thing, you." And then she starts rattling off all these like beautiful, inspiring, courageous, humble, you know, free, adventurous, like just try to find as many positive adjectives to just, you know, and it's almost a fake it to, even if you don't believe it today, you know, just it's like you're looking in the mirror and you're saying it to yourself, you know. And I try to find, you know, acknowledged, respected, appreciated, celebrated, recognized, important, necessary, you know, just throwing those like first thing in the morning, and those kind of like get me through in a way that like, because it's the first thing. So then even if I forget, I can kind of be like, oh yeah, the first thing I did today was say that I was this, that, and the third.
Daniel, I think you just struck gold. I think that's what we need to start from as humans, as artists at this moment. It really, that resonated with me because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, you messed me up a while. You just messed me up because this is what I do with Samson.
Oh yeah.
In the morning, and we have written, I am kind, I am brave, I am honest, I am loving, and so he's affirming who he is before the world tells him anything else.
That's it.
And that's so powerful. Ooh, mess me up here, bro.
That's I'm love that you're doing. I see you. You put that's on Instagram. You posted y'all doing that before.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
This is lightning round, two more. What's the best thing about this moment?
The opportunity to self-reflect, the opportunity, I feel this is very much a cocoon phase, the I think the beauty is that the other side is this butterfly. You know what I mean? We're growing so rapidly, and oh, that's annoying.
But as you talk about, I'm not cutting you off, but as you talk about butterfly, I went to your website and you literally said that your website is, I think you said that it's cocooning right now. It's under construction.
Come back with butterfly. Yep. It's butterflies are a huge thing in my family. Like my grandmother and my aunts and we're all a butterfly thing. And it's caused me to like actually do like a lot of research on like butterflies. So like they're just the idea that, for the longest time people thought caterpillars were one insect and that butterflies were a different insect, and then it was until later that they found out that the cells that will be the wings and the butterfly, that's already inside of the caterpillar. Like you are going to emerge this thing. So I think it's just the world slowed down so that we could actually butterfly and not keep running around being caterpillars. We were just fast caterpillars. Fast caterpillars.
Fast caterpillars. We thought this was what we were always supposed to be. This is just, which leads, speaking of caterpillar to butterfly, this leads to my last question. What does growth mean to you?
Woo! Oh, that's a wonderful question. Growth means gorgeous pain.
Take your time.
Oh, what does growth mean to me? Growth means you didn't believe the mythology the world tried to teach you.
Yeah, man. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, this has been a growth moment. Wow. This is why I wanted to talk to you. You know,
Yeah.
this is what you're giving to the world. This is what you've given to me. So I want to say thank you for just not believing that mythology that you've been given and shining and flying like the butterfly that you are. And you got lots of co-signers up in here. You're a rocket ship. We are propelling you and we're coming along with you.
Yeah.
So thank you for the jam. Thank you for your artistry. Thank you for your activism and your inspiration, bro. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.